Welcome back, you guys. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV, and today we're here to have a very serious discussion. With the signings of Werner and Ziyech and potentially Kai Havertz too, next season, are we ready to mount a title challenge to win the league? It's felt like an eternity since we've done that, but it seems like with all our recent signings, our amazing young manager too, the footballing style we play as well, it feels like everything is aligning together and there could be a strong possibility that we could win the league for next season. So you guys, bear with me a second before we get straight into the video. Quick plug talk out of the way. Remember, today was officially the day that the new home kit for next season was officially released. You guys, at this point in time, if you use my affiliate links in the description below, you can get 10% off your order using my discount code NINI10. You can see it on screen, it's looking quite lovely, quite beautiful. I've already ordered a few things for myself, so you're gonna see me wearing them very soon in my new video. So keep tuned for that, you guys. And without wasting any more time, I think it's time now to introduce my two very special guests, Matisse Armani and Joe Tweedy. Starting with you, Matisse, man, how you doing? How's life? What's good?
I'm all good, bro. It's a sunny day outside. Havertz is potentially looking like joining. We've got Agent Rudiger talking everybody up in the WhatsApp.
Agent Werner as well. It seems like the whole Germans, yeah.
So it's all good. Life is good. You can't complain with stuff like that going on.
That's great to hear, man. And Joe, how you doing, man? I'm guessing you're feeling you're in good spirits these days. You know, we're getting the signings that we need. We're starting to show that we are serious. We have that ambition, and it's kind of funny because like throughout the years, like so many people throughout the fan base have constantly questioned the ambition that this club has. What's your answer for them?
I mean, I think this is going to be the first time in a very long time that I actually look at a Chelsea attack across the entire lineup and just look at really, really top tier players. You know, we've had Hazard, who was phenomenal, but you know, next season you're going to have potentially Pulisic, Werner, Havertz, Ziyech. I mean, we haven't had that level of player in the final third for Chelsea for, it feels like, absolute ages. You know, probably 10 plus years, that level of quality. So yeah, it's feeling good. I'm confident and quietly confident, I should say, about the Havertz still. Seems like that's moving in the right direction. But yeah, if people were doubting Chelsea's direction, then they just need to look what's going on this summer.
Yeah, I think that's straight to the point, and yeah, that's a real answer. But let's tackle the main discussion for today, and that's with the potential signing of Kai, which is looking very likely. Do we have a possibility now to win the league for next season? I'm going to start with you, Matisse. Do you feel like we have the squad, or you think that we're a few players away from being that team?
Yeah, so logically, obviously, I say we're still a few players away. I think I said the same thing a few days ago, is that really I've never seen a team win the league without a defence. Yeah. You know, even the Manchester United, Man City with company, obviously us, we set fantastic defensive records under Mourinho, and even under Conte, he got a structure. It maybe wasn't the best individually, but he got a structure together, and we good defensively. And I think this team is the complete opposite of all of the things I've just said. So they're definitely lacking in the goalkeeping area, which I know Joe is very good at pointing out, and I love the propaganda that he put, because it's just facts, to be honest. It's just facts. Yeah. And he knows what he's saying when it comes to the goalkeeper, but it's not just the goalkeeper, it's the centre backs. We've seen the defending against West Ham. We've seen, obviously, you know, in really a lot of games, you know, this season, but even since lockdown, just a lot of a lack of leadership, as I always say. So I definitely wouldn't say we'd win the league with that team, but I also thought we would finish outside the top four, where, you know, touch wood, look like we're on the way to doing that. So the one thing I say of Chelsea is, even though my logic will say no, this club is always there to surprise you and do the unthinkable. Yeah,
I fully agree. And Joe, like, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the major problems we've had this season, I think, you know, Matisse is right. We struggled defensively. However, I think there were periods in games where, had we had a better finisher up front or more people capable of scoring, you know, those kind of periods where we've been on top and not taking advantage, I think we might have been in a little bit closer to City. Maybe not Liverpool at this point in time, but sort of looking at the signings we're making, guys that potentially are coming in, possibly even some additional defensive reinforcements. But I think probably for me, next season will be the one where we take the biggest step forward. And then after that, I think, you know, probably the season after that is when I think that Chelsea will have a real kind of significant say in the title. I think we will make massive improvements next season. But I agree with Matisse. I'm someone who always thinks that you have to build from the back unless you've got a really competent spine or you've got a really, really top tier defence. It's difficult to be consistent throughout the season. You know, you can't always rely on your forwards to bail you out. Sometimes you just need a defensive performance to nick a 1-0. And I wouldn't be super confident about that at the moment. But as things are going, you know, if we're bringing in sort of some defensive players as well, then who knows? But with the guys who are being linked to and Havertz and that sort of thing, you know, I'm hoping that some of these draws and some of these losses will turn into points for us next season. So that for me is closing the gap. But then to overtake Liverpool, then you've got to look at the back four and the goalkeeper.
But do you think? Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. Sorry, this is a tiny bit of echo. Perfect. Okay, so we know that Liverpool aren't going to buy anyone this window, it seems. It seems like they don't have any money to do so. COVID has really hit them hard. There's a possibility that Man United might not get Champions League football too. You know, that's on the tables too, and that's naturally going to affect the business they can do. I mean, there's already talks of Jadon Sancho saying that if there is no UCL football, he could consider staying again, which I've always been predicting for a long time. So when you consider, okay, that's two of our big rivals right now who might not be able to strengthen and go to that next level. For Liverpool, for example, we know that with Klopp's systems, it takes up to 4 years max, tends to be the lifespan, and you need new players and new investments to keep that momentum going. So we've already seen that Liverpool aren't looking as dominant as they started the season compared to how they finished it. I feel like they could be there for the taking. And with Man City and their hearing coming very soon too, that could have big repercussions for them. So I think that when you consider that we're in a much more advantageous position now compared to our rivals in the league, I think that, you know, based on the fact that Lampards implemented his style this season, there's like a core set of players that understand how to play in it. We've signed players too that know how to play in the system and complement things too. I think that naturally all these advantages do add up and they do build up to be something. So maybe it's because like I'm like a super fan, but I feel like we're like the favourites at this point in time to go for the title basically.
I wouldn't say favourites. I would still say I just see this team as like the Liverpool team of old when they went really close under Rodgers and they scored a truckload of goals, but they still did concede. And I just, with this defence and the qualities and traits that it's missing, like Joe said, to get through the season. Of course, we know we can probably outscore anyone with this attack. The attack is really balanced. Which is great. It's not how it was under Hazard where it was kind of lopsided. It will be really balanced. If one player is not having a good day, you've got players on the bench like your Hudson-Odoi who will probably come on. Pulisic is in great form as well. But the defense is still too big of an issue. And the problem is that I feel like also the coaching as well will need to improve defensively in the coaching. I think that's something that is not really spoken about enough, but that's okay. Definitely.
Let me actually get you to expand on that further.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like for both of you guys. So how much responsibility does Lampard need to take for maybe defensive mistakes in the team compared to maybe individual players being the main reason for that?
I'll take this one. I'd say half. I mean, and I wouldn't just say Lampard, it's the coaches, because listen, not a manager is at the end of the day, it's a team. You know, it's a team that runs the team. Sir Alex Ferguson never took training. I wouldn't say he was a specialty in every single department of coaching. You know, he, like I said, he never even took training, so maybe he wasn't a specialty in any part. But man management, he was brilliant. Lampard is very good at man management, as we can see. So I think we just need to surround him with more experienced coaches at the end of the day. Maybe someone like a Steve Holland could come back. Just some sort of experience back there, because it is a very inexperienced coaching team behind him as well. So
okay, I hear your answer. And Joe, I'm going to ask you the same thing. Do you think that maybe this mostly comes down to the individuals, or is this like maybe something fundamentally wrong with the system that Lampard and the coaches have obviously built?
I think that there's a little bit of an element, for me at least, that Lampard is trying to play how he wants to play without kind of quite having the personnel that I think he needs to do it. And I think my criticism of him would be that I think the sort of transitional plan that you put in to move from one system to another, it can be gradual. You can look at sort of implementing part of your ideas while kind of making it easier for the guys who are currently there, you know, and then you look at recruitment and bringing in your own people to kind of make the transition a bit easier. So I think from that perspective, I do think that there has been a little bit too quick of a move to sort of the system that he's trying to implement. certainly when it comes to kind of defensively, set pieces, I think stuff like that, there are huge kind of structural issues there for me, which probably are solved by having better quality defenders. But equally, you would have hoped by now that maybe they would have tried some different things. So I think a little bit of it comes down to personnel. I mean, I think it's sort of relatively obvious now that Lampard is kind of pushing for a more definitive like holding player, that he wants probably more physically dominant centre back. He wants to get a bit more physicality amongst that sort of central area that Chelsea defend in. So I can see where he's going, but I think the criticism for me comes from, I think, the fact that he's not necessarily adapted as much to the players, and it's fine. You can try and sort of fit people to the style of football you're trying to play. But I think there is a little bit of a happier middle ground that I think he's missed out on a tiny bit.
Well, do you think that maybe, obviously, it could be a case of, like how much micromanagement can you really do? Under previous managers like Mourinho and Conte, they produced like a defensive setup which was a lot deeper. The team came back a lot more. It was a lot more defensive orientated too, and especially last season, knowing like all the work Sai was putting in the training sessions to really keep that defensive shape going, and just how much he like constantly reiterated it during press conferences. I feel like for us to be solid defensively, it would take away a lot from how we attack and break teams down. So I think that, I don't know, I feel like maybe Lampard's done the best balancing job that he could do with the players at his disposal. And I do think with the signings of course, Werner and Ziyech and potentially Kai too, I think that they could completely transform how we break teams down and how we attack. I think that they instantly add more threat. And most times when you have more threat, other teams tend to react negatively in this league and defend deep. But, this time we have like the solutions to break them down. So, I don't know. Basically, to answer you guys' questions, I feel like maybe our attacking quality could maybe outweigh and circumvent those defensive issues that we could have if we obviously, don't sign the right defensive players this summer. Like, I'll let in one of you guys. Whoever goes first, basically.
Yeah, I still maintain that I just don't think a league can be won without a solid defense. And I will also say, I know you said Liverpool dropped off, but that is also part of the alcohol, I think, reasons as well. I think they're on the beach now. So it's
not even before that. I think obviously before the suspension period too. They lost that game against, was it like Palace, and they were looking as good as they used to.
Yeah, I mean, they were unbeaten up until Watford, so I guess I just throw in the human element, and they were bound to drop off at some point. I mean, they kind of had to. They're playing this ridiculously high intensity pressing system, and they don't really have a controller in midfield. I think that's why they're rumored to be targeting Thiago, because sometimes you just need to take the sting out of a game, slow it down, and they don't really ever do that. They just go full throttle, and it's probably tiring. They're probably coming to the back end of the season. They've wrapped up the league, and they're putting their feet up a little bit. But I do think the motivation will be there for them next season to go again, solely because they didn't win the league in front of their own fans. I think that's something that, the fact that they've won the league and none of their fans have really seen it. They haven't really been able to celebrate as you normally would. I think that will be a tool of motivation for Klopp to use next season. And I think, if anyone's going to keep a team motivated as well, I think it will be him. City have obviously got something to prove as well. I think if, it all depends on the ban as well, that what situation their stars react to that and how long they're actually banned for. So I definitely put us in the mix. But I do think that, like I said, I think our defense will cost us enough to drag us a little bit further down, just because, like you said, the way we're trying to defend now, really, it's more individual defending that has to go on. When you defend in a low block, you have a collective structure, and if someone makes a mistake, someone else covers. Now it's like there's a lot more individual 1v1 defending, because we're just a little bit more open and direct and expansive, and our defenders just don't suit that. So I just see a lot of areas in the defense, and that's obviously the issue there as well.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you guys this to wrap up the video. Based on all the players we're going after, and based on players we've signed already, Matis, where do you see us finishing next season in the league?
Good question. I think I'll go with third, but I'll say comfortably third.
Comfortably third.
Way less stressful than this season. Yeah.
Okay. Third. Okay, I hear you. I just think that, of course, for me, I think we might be first. I think with the money we're spending, the players we're signing, there's no way that we've gone up a few points up the league to remain in third. I don't see it like that for me personally, but I've always been very ambitious. I've always been a dreamer, I guess. So I'm going for number 1. I think we'll win it next season. And Joe, what position do you think we'll get for our final position in the end?
I'm going to take a cop out and take the middle ground.
Safe.
I think they'll come second. I do think that it will be interesting if City have this massive points deduction that they're potentially throwing around. I've seen like minus 15 points to start with. That would be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I still think potentially we're a shade off of Liverpool, but if we get the attacking players we've been linked with, particularly Havertz, if we then grab someone like Rice, a centre back and a left back, which again doesn't seem like completely out of the realm of possibility given what sort of money we're spending, then I could get on board the title challenge, certainly. Obviously, all depends how United are as well. I think that they've obviously found a formula back end of the season as well. So could be us, could be United, could be Liverpool, and depending on obviously City's bound or not. City, but I'll go second just to.
Second. So Matthias third, you second, and me first. You've got a range of answers there. But thank you for watching. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV, and I'll see you guys later with some more videos.